Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Overwatch Weekly. Not a ton of news to talk about today, but there are a couple of things that I want to talk about. So let's jump into it and talk about those. And the first thing I want to talk about is the newest patch notes from the newest update that came out yesterday. There are a couple of general changes, and then there are some hero changes that I want to talk about as well. So let's start with the general update. The new feature, Priority Requeue for Collapsed Games. This is something that Jeff Kaplan talked about in the last dev update about a month ago now, where he basically said they're adding a system so that if you are in a comp game and that game collapses, someone disconnects in the first, however long it is, when you queue up again, you'll be given priority over people who did not get into a game before, because your game was collapsed. So it prevents you from waiting for an hour to get into a match, having that match collapse, and then getting back in a queue for another hour. And that was something that a lot of people were not really enjoying. So that is something that is now taken out of the game by this new feature. As they say here, if a competitive game collapses due to a player leaving early, you are now granted a priority requeue in the next time you queue to play. You'll see a small icon on the interface to denote this status. When you queue for a game with priority queue status, the matchmaker tries to prioritize finding an appropriate game for you. This normally results in significantly lower times waiting in queue, but only, I would assume, for if you are requeuing. There's also some competitive updates. Speaking of competitive Open Queue Season 2 has begun. Find this game mode within the arcade for roughly 2 weeks. This mode will use standard competitive play rules, but will have no role restrictions or role queues. This is something as well that was a major focus of the dev update, that this mode will be coming fully as its own separate mode within the competitive format, so it'll be an additional competitive mode alongside competitive role queue. But until the next season starts, they're going to wait and keep it separated as competitive open queue in the arcade. Once July rolls around and the start of the next season, then it'll become a permanent competitive mode. Now let's move on to the hero updates. These are most of the hero updates that we saw on the experimental card a couple weeks ago, but there are some changes that I want to talk about very briefly. First hero change is Echo's focusing beam range reduced from 20 meters to 16 meters. The dev comments on this one: focusing beam felt slightly too long-ranged given how lethal it has the potential to be. Echo may have to get a bit closer to utilize the ability, but certainly has the mobility to do so. I like this change. There were times where even I felt like the beam was just a little bit too easy to do damage with, so this is a change I am all for, because I think it means that we will be getting better balance from Echo. She won't be able to do all that damage from as far, so I have to get much closer to do that. And I think that that is a bit of a nerf for her, and I think that'll be better overall for the game. For Genji's shurikens, his damage was increased from 28 to 30, while his secondary fire spread was reduced from 12 to 9, and his deflect duration was increased from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, and his deflect can now be cancelled manually. The dev comment on this one saying we are looking to strengthen Genji's close-range combat effectiveness to help solidify his viability as a mobile burst damage hero. We'll keep a close eye on his overall power as we're increasing both the flexibility of deflect and improving the shuriken damage consistency at the same time. These Genji changes are very interesting, and we saw a lot of Genji getting played in the Overwatch League this past week. I say a lot. There were a couple teams who ran a decent amount of Genji, which is surprising, mainly because Genji was not played really at all going into that week. And I don't know if that was kind of a preemptive thing where they want to try to get these Genji compositions to work because Genji's going to be stronger when this patch goes into the Overwatch League, or if they were just genuinely of the opinion that this Genji composition would work very well. We didn't see it a ton. We saw some Genji play by Shanghai, by New York, by Paris. There may have been some other teams. Those are the three that I can think of off the top of my head that I know played some Genji. So it's something we could maybe be seeing more of in the Overwatch League. I don't know for sure. But when these changes go through, we might see a little bit more Genji here and there. But there's just some teams who have really good players on Genji that they're going to do whatever they can to have Genji meta. And there's nothing wrong with that. The next hero change is Hanzo's Storm Arrow's damage increased from 60 to 70. The dev comment on this one is that the previous combination of changes to the projectile speed and the damage of Storm Arrows impacted Hanzo more than intended, so we're reverting the Storm Arrow damage back to its previous value. I'm not going to complain. I like Hanzo a lot. I haven't played him as much recently. Maybe because I didn't think he was that good. I don't know. I don't really care about stuff like that much. I don't really notice stuff like that all that often because I was never that good with Hanzo. But I think it's a good change. But we'll see what happens when Hanzo... we'll see what happens if these changes have a lot of impact on Hanzo if he gets played more as the Overwatch League or high-level competitive. But I don't think it'll change too much. It might be a little bit more play, but I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. Final hero change is Arisa's Halt. They increased the sound effects volume. Now, if you remember these experimental changes originally, they originally included Moira. There was changes, I believe, to the projectile speed of her orb, the range of her orb, and I believe damage was also changed. I don't remember how, though. They changed that. They took that away. Something that I don't think I ever covered on here, but there was a post on the forums that I believe is now deleted. But on Moira, they said we've been having a lot of internal discussion and playtesting to find the right place for Moira. Moira's damage is especially powerful because it heals her and is fairly easy to use. In this test, we were looking for ways to decrease Moira's damage while maintaining her overall power level by increasing her healing per second on primary fire. From the start, we were pretty hesitant about these changes, but we wanted to give players a chance to play and provide opinions as well. That's the beauty of Experimental Card. We're glad we did the experiment, but we feel that this test still doesn't hit our goals for Moira overall. We're reverting these changes for now, but we'll continue iterating on changes for Moira, so you may see more experiments for her in the near future. So this is something that we might see potentially a Moira rework. I don't think that we're going to get a complete Moira rework, maybe just a minor rework that changes maybe the way some of her damage is done and changes a significant kind of tweak of bits of her kit, but I don't think it'll change everything for her kit. I don't think her ultimate would really change. I don't think her orbs would really change that much. I'd maybe think her healing and her right click would change a little bit more, but I don't know what else would change. But we'll have to see. I'm curious to see what potential changes they make to Moira in the future. There is one other thing in these patch notes, and that is the new skin that is in the game, the 2019 Overwatch League MVP skin, Alien Zarya. As they say here, celebrate the 2019 Overwatch League MVP with the Alien Zarya skin. This skin is a unique combination of influences. Her extraterrestrial form features nodes that respond to Zarya's particle cannon charge and facial tentacles that glow in her signature pink, while her sleek suiting is inspired by retro fashion. And there is an article on the Overwatch League website that goes into a little bit more detail about it, in case you were curious what the skin is like. I just want to give my opinions on it. I'll put an image of it up right now. As you can see, that is the Alien skin, of course, commemorating Sinatraa and his 2019 season, where he dominated on Zarya and also on Doomfist by the end of the season. So kind of funny that the two heroes that were given skins based on that San Francisco Shock team were Zarya and Doomfist. I like this skin. I think it's pretty good. Zarya is a hero who I think has had some really bad skins, and I think this one's really cool. There's a lot of really cool subtle details. I recommend checking out the article and the video that is in the article as well. They talk a bit more about it, but one of the things that's on there is on her sleeve they have the MVP trophy and the Grand Finals trophy, obviously in honor of Sinatraa, who won both of those things. And it's a cool skin. I personally really like it. I know there's a lot of people who don't like it, and that's perfectly fine. People are allowed to have their own opinions. But I like it. I think it's a nice skin overall, personally. I think that it's different and unique and interesting. It gives me a lot of Men in Black vibes, which I think is cool. But you still have the cool alienness to it, and it still feels somewhat unique, which I think is very, very cool. So it's a good skin. I'm not going to say anything bad about it because I really like it. The eyes close sideways. I think it's very, very cool. But that's really everything there is for today and this week. Really not a lot of stuff to talk about. As I said, it just happens to be a pretty slow week. Maybe there's something coming up soon. I have no idea. But for right now, not a whole lot going on. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts on anything down below. If you like the Sinatraa skin, let me know. If you have any strong feelings about these patch notes, let me know. Whatever your opinion is, I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. But that is everything. Thank you once again. Hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.